Okay. Venkat, Manisha, can you? Yes, you can see it.
Hi, Venkat.
Yeah, this is the problem. You're both behind us. Okay. Here. You have to look this way. Yeah. You can see him. Yeah.
Where are you right now? No, where
Hi,
are you?
Venkat. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you. Yes.
Yeah. Where are you right now?
No, I'm in India right now.
Oh, okay.
But I
thought you
really
were
wanted to
traveling.
make it in person. I am. I wanted to make it in person, but I couldn't come there today.
I understand. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for bringing it remotely. So anyway, I think we're going to start now. Okay.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this fireside chat. Is meant to be more of an informal, fun chat between Monisha, Venkat, and Bhavish. And I'll briefly introduce Bhavish, who's our chief guest, and on the screen. So Bhavish Agarwal is founder and CEO of Ola Group. Do you all know what Ola Group is? Oh, yeah. Right. So it's India's leading EV manufacturer and mobility company. That's what they call it. That's what they like to call it. But you all have the app and you all know how it works. Prior to of course, Ola has done this amazing thing, making ride sharing accessible and mobility accessible to folks in India and around the world. Prior to setting up Ola, actually, Venkat has a personal connection. Bhavish worked with Microsoft as a researcher for 2 years, filing several patents and publications. He's an alumnus of IIT Bombay, where he graduated with a bachelor's in computer science and engineering. So without further ado, I'm going to let Venkat and Monisha coordinate the fireside chat. So over to you, Venkat.
Thank you. Maybe you should get a microphone too. Okay, yeah. Well, because there's a screen here. We can see him. Okay, wonderful. Yeah. Okay,
I can only see the two of you. I can't see the audience, but that's okay.
Oh, he can't see the audience.
Yeah, that's okay.
How can you?
Yeah, I can see the audience a little bit now. Yeah.
Okay, can you see it too? Can you see the audience? Bhavish?
Yeah,
No?
I can see. Yes.
Either the audience or
Okay, so let them keep switching, right? Like so when he's answering, maybe when he's answering, he can see the audience. When we're asking the question, they can see us, right? So I think that would be good. I see. Okay, well, whatever. Okay, anyway, let's get with the question. So Bhavish, the first question is something that I'm sure you would expect, right? So your background is as a technologist. You got your BTech from IIT Bombay. You worked at MSR as a research fellow for 2 years. In fact, as I often say and often joke, even to Satya, for example, our CEO, you and I used to write papers together. I'm still writing papers. You have moved on to higher pursuits, right? So the question is, can you give sort of how did starting as a technologist and as a researcher at a lab like MSR, how did that inform your thinking as you've built great businesses? And you can be honest. You can say that it just convinced you that research is no good and you should do other things. That's okay. But just tell us sort of what is the learning and sort of how did it shape your outlook on how you run businesses in this space?
Yeah. No, thank you, Venkat, for having me. And before I answer, I must say, this is the first time after, I think, 12 years, about 12 years that I'm attending a technical conference. So I used to do a lot of these conferences when I used to work with Venkat. And by the way, Venkat is the only boss I've ever known outside of my wife.
Then you decided that you didn't want bosses.
Oh yeah, I was so bad.
No, but I learned a lot at Microsoft. I was very lucky to, by the way, get into Microsoft. My background is that I studied computer science in IIT Bombay, and in IIT, while I studied academics, but I also explored a lot of other avenues, sports and culture, etc., all other avenues, entrepreneurship in IIT Bombay. But I really feel my 2 years at Microsoft Research, and specifically the grounding that research gave me, not even while I was a technologist, but more importantly, the research world really allowed me to build a much more deeper scientific temper, analytical rigor, ability to understand the strategic value of technology, which I believe truly has helped me in my journey as an entrepreneur. I mean, one of the reasons, by the way, I decided, and when Venkat asked me, I decided to come here was I really believe the future of businesses for India, and especially in this decade where India is now growing in a very strong way. the future is going to be defined by technology, and not just purely by technology, but by deep research and R&D and building the future technology paradigms here, right here in India. When I was growing up, and even when I just started working, the usual mindset we all had was that technologies will be invented in the West and they will be over time slowly deployed in markets like India. But I really strongly believe that that paradigm has been broken. Innovation is now global. Innovation is happening everywhere in the world in parallel in many ways. And India truly has a real opportunity to lead the world in setting the technology paradigms of the future. And if you see, the definition of technology has also evolved so much now than 15 years ago when I was just graduating from college. Today, there's so much convergence in digital technologies, AI, smart manufacturing, robotics, etc. And I really believe that there is no better place than in India to now link the worlds of technology, research, and business. And that's pretty much why I'm here today. And my just to get back to the question Venkat asked, that's the reason I believe my journey at Microsoft Research specifically, and also my education at IIT Bombay really helped me in getting into deep technology domains in the businesses that I've gone into.
Thanks, Bhavish, for that great answer. I'm sure it's very inspirational for the young people in the audience, especially to hear from someone like you. And they will take their professors and their technical mentors more seriously now, right? Because they know that that's the foundation to build a business. Good, Manisha.
Yeah. Just to follow up on that, because prior to this, we had a discussion about young researchers in India. So clearly, you did the research in Microsoft Research, but you chose not to go back to grad school. You decided instead to go off into a business career. Can you talk about any of the thoughts that did you ever think of going to grad school, or was it pretty clear that you just wanted to go off and found your business?
No, I was very confused when I was in Microsoft towards towards when my 2 years were about to get completed. And Venkat would have written very nice recommendation letters for me. That's why I got some calls from grad schools too. Although I never got to see what he wrote about me, but but I got a bunch of calls from very good tier one US grad schools, and I was really confused. My parents, I am not from a business family. My parents are doctors, so they also value education and research, particularly being doctors. So they wanted me to go to grad school, but I was finally I decided on setting up a business because I just felt that was more attuned to my aspirations. Although I didn't know much about my own aspirations 12 years ago, I was still a 24-year-old kid. But looking back, I do believe since I started early in life, I was able to really make a lot of headway very early in life, and also link up some of my technology learnings and beginnings into my journey as an entrepreneur. And I would say, since there are many youngsters in the audience, I would say the decision of grad school or entrepreneur or any other stream, frankly, is all down to your own interests. Today, Ola is a very large engineering and technology organization. We have about 4,000 engineers, many of them PhDs, and so we hire best of the best around the world. And some people are truly passionate to work on the problems we are working on. So in the end, the journey truly depends on your own passions. There's no right or wrong journey.
Okay, so since you brought up the technology aspect, let me just, and since COMSNETS is a networking conference, do you have any thoughts on how you think the next generation of networks, be it 5G or 6G, does that have a role? Do you think that there are unique changes that can happen in, say, ride-sharing servers that can leverage these new networks, much like 4G was a big boom to the early ride-sharing networks?
Yeah. Yeah. Manisha, you've caught me on my weak side. But I will
That's
still answer.
okay.
I can give I would love to give a perspective on your question. I don't know the technical details of either 4G, 5G, or beyond technologies as they're emerging. Although, in my defense, before my talk, I was spending 15, 20 minutes on the agenda, the conference sessions. I went through the kind of papers being presented. And I did not understand much, but I could make out the big themes that are in play in the domain. So, let me start with a broader perspective on what I see in the technology domain broadly, and then I'll come into networking specifically. I feel we are in an era where convergence of multiple technologies is a major theme. And like I mentioned earlier, AI is a big technology. Digitalization is actually already pretty much played out now, across the world. In India, also it's playing out. Uh, New energy systems, other climate technologies. There's a lot of these technologies, new materials. All of these technologies are converging, and in many ways, data, AI, digital technologies are horizontal across many of these convergences. For example, today, while Ola is a software company, we've built ride-sharing platforms, etc. We also have, gone very deep into building our own lithium-ion cells, and also building our own electronics technologies in our vehicles, etc. So a lot of the foundation across these domains also is deeply into the domains of digital and data and AI. For example, when we work on lithium-ion cells, right, uh, how we select different material combinations to make a good cell, all of that is a big data problem now. A lot of AI ML techniques are used there. When we look at our manufacturing process, the Industry 4.0 technologies that we deploy in our factories, a lot of them depend on uh, uh, good good networking at the and new cloud technologies, a lot more implementation of robotics and AI in the factory. So this is an era where there's a lot of convergence across different technologies, and and more so, businesses are increasingly being driven. The value creation of businesses are being driven by technology, and especially in India, where traditionally we've seen the value a company places on R&D, or the value a company places on core innovation is low. That's also changing very very fast. And so that's the broader theme in which how I see the world ahead. We as a company invest a very significant part of our revenues back into R&D. About 20% of our revenues go back into R&D, compared to a 5-6% global average. Now, specifically to your networking question, Manisha, I feel the future on 5G is definitely going to transform many industries, right? Now, I don't know the technical aspects deep inside it, or I don't know the technical aspects beyond 5G. But when we look at from an Ola point of view, there are two domains we are deeply excited about the usefulness of faster networks or better networks. One is an obvious one, which is autonomous technologies, and we are doing a lot of work on building autonomous stack for India, right up from the computing layer, right up from the silicon, designing AI chips for India at Indian cost structure, so that we can ingest a lot more data that is required to train autonomous networks for the Indian roads, which are more data rich. And we are designing our own cloud infrastructure, leveraging all the new technologies to be able to build autonomous for India. That's one domain where I feel modern networking technologies will really be relevant, especially from an Indian context, where solving the autonomous challenge in India is, I would say, 10x more harder than solving it for the West. It's not impossible. It's just a data and the cost of compute challenge. So that's one vertical. Another vertical, which might not be very obvious, but when we run our business, is a very high impact, is essentially building a modern industrial cloud. Most of manufacturing processes still are very archaic, and we all use archaic PLC systems, archaic on-premise cloud systems, manufacturing software systems, which are not really attuned to the modern way of the way the consumer cloud works, for example, or IoT devices, robotics, and because the factory floor is becoming much more of the factory is becoming a machine. It's a very large machine, which has many machines within itself, which need to be working much more in sync and lockstep with all the other machines and processes. So that's another area where we are very key. We are actually working on 5G pilots with different telecom companies. But more than just a 5G pilot, we are actually working to build a new modern architecture for what we think is the industrial cloud of the future, where we can really have very low latencies, we can have much higher automation, we can have we can pretty much bring in some of the technologies of the cloud that we have come to know in the consumer era, consumer domain, but not in the industrial domain yet. So that's a bit of a big picture, and then two specific domains where we have relevance of networking that I talked about.
Yeah, for someone who claimed not to know much about networks, you gave a pretty good picture of the exact use cases that some of these networks are being built for.
Okay. Okay, great. Yeah, so I can go next. But Bhavish, they're switching the camera now. So are you able to see the audience as well once in a while and see us?
Yes,
Is
I
that right?
can. Absolutely, I'm comfortable.
Yeah. So only thing is maybe they can do a bit more switching, because I think when he's speaking, he doesn't get to see us at all. So maybe they can switch,
Yeah.
at some periodicity.
He's not feeling left out.
No. I just, yeah, I mean, he's answering your question, but he's not able to see you. So I thought it would be a bit weird. So maybe a little bit of switching, slightly more frequent, not too much. So let me switch gears and, talk about sort of what you have done in the past dozen years, right? Amazing stuff. You built maybe many businesses, but I know of two big ones. You have the ride-sharing business and the electric vehicle business. And, they are complementary in some ways and also different in some ways. So I'm just sort of curious to sort of hear your perspective on how you see these two. Maybe maybe there's a better together story here. And not so much. I mean, you can talk for the business viewpoint too, but I'm also sort of thinking if you think of larger goals for society and the country and the world, sustainability and climate change. Ride sharing has certain value. You produce a certain number of vehicles, and many more people are able to use it, so that's good. Electric vehicles also have certain advantages from that viewpoint. But you're now trying to sell a vehicle to every person, maybe an electric vehicle, so that sort of goes counter to your thing about sharing, maybe. So I'm just curious how you think about it, how both of these perhaps can contribute.
Sure. Both businesses that you mentioned, Venkat, and by the way, we are the largest ride-sharing company in India and very profitable. That business, we were about to IPO the company last year till Ukraine happened. So we will list the company this year. And we're also India's largest EV company, just by selling two-wheelers. We're much larger than the EV four-wheeler companies, and we're also coming out with our four-wheeler product soon. So when you think of these two paradigms of shared mobility and personal mobility, these are just two parts of the value chain of mobility. And if I step back and take a broader picture of civilizational progress and the impact different mobility technologies have had, right? Actually, there have been two. If you analyze in a big picture way the last few hundred years, right? There have been two broad technology themes which have transformed civilization repeatedly. One is the technologies of communication and computing. Both are interlinked. And another is the technologies of energy and mobility. Both are very interlinked. And if you just see that if you think of the invention of the printing press, that was a communications technology which had profound impact on society. If you think of the invention of the steam engine and the locomotive, and hence the whole world got colonized because of that invention, and that led to the first industrial revolution. If you think of more recently the computers and or even before that the transatlantic cable, etc., these are all communications technologies. So almost all technologies that you think of that have had profound impact for civilization fall very neatly into the communications and compute bucket or the energy and mobility bucket. And these two have, many times have had cyclical periods of evolution at different phases of evolution. So through the last 40, 50 years or so, there has been a lot of innovation in communications technologies and computing technologies. And we are, largest companies in the world today are computing technologies like Microsoft or Amazon or Google or any of these. This was not true 50 years ago. The largest companies in the world 50 years ago, if you think, were energy companies or automotive companies. GM was at one point the largest company in the world. GE was a large company in the world. Enron or any of these companies were very large companies, the world's largest companies, Toyota. Now, what we are seeing now is the innovations in computing, communication standalone are kind of plateauing. Their convergence into other technologies is increasing, and the energy technology innovation, automotive or mobility technology innovation has really started ramping up. And if you see today, ride-hailing as a business model and as a technology innovation is about a decade old. Right? That's when I started off my business. And if you see electric vehicles, renewable energy, space travel, drones, flying cars, uh, under the surface tunnels. All these are technologies linked to energy and mobility. So there's going to be a massive revolution, value creation, civilizational impact caused by technologies of energy and movement. And that's how I see Ola's mission and Ola's playing ground, if I can say so, right? So ride sharing is one part of that. EVs is another part of that. A third vertical which we're building now is lithium ion cells, because that's the future of energy systems in the world. So it has nothing to do with any consumer business. Also, it's more a deep technology around the around the cell chemistry aspects of it. So, my own goal for Ola is to become a world leader in this in the space of energy and mobility, and really build across the value chain of business models and technology. And where we are today, we are just at the start. We're scratching the surface. It's been a dozen years that I've been an entrepreneur, and I just feel it's just there's so much more to do. And in many ways, this technology revolution mobility and energy is there. Secondly, India is also at a cusp of its own revolution in terms of becoming one of the world's largest economies, and a great industrial force in the world. So these are the two vectors I say where we operate in. I started with the ride sharing business because as a 24-year-old, I could only start with what I felt was missing. And as I built ride sharing, and as I got to know about the domain of mobility and energy, I set up Ola Electric as a new company about 3 years back, 3 to 4 years back, just before COVID. And as we've gotten deeper into mobility, we've realized how big an impact can be made by electrifying the whole world of mobility. And if I take a minute and articulate what we're trying to do with the EVs is, the whole EV revolution began in the West with companies like Tesla, etc. And Tesla is a very iconic company, but companies like those building products for a Western audience. Now that's great. That's very important. But majority of the world does not travel in large pickup trucks or large luxury sedans. Majority of the world, which is, India is a great microcosm of the majority of the world. Majority of the world travels in two-wheelers, small mid-sized cars. And to really take the EV revolution to humanity scale, this segment of mobility needs to be electrified. And and that's what our ambition is. Our ambition is to build right across the spectrum of two-wheelers, including scooters, motorbikes, small and mid-sized cars, to build for the Indian audience, and then from India build for the world where these products will be relevant. And this is how I really believe the EV revolution will go to humanity scale. And I actually feel it is India's destiny, not even opportunity. It's India's destiny to really create a world-class EV industry in India, and it's Ola's opportunity to really be the leader in that industry.
I see. Yeah, thanks, Bhavish. I think I really love the vision, and I think it makes a lot of sense. Manisha, maybe my next question is quite related, so maybe I can go and then hand over to you. So, you talked about energy and mobility as a sort of one of the foundational pillars of progress, and absolutely makes sense. What is your view of? I mean, I'm just wondering about electric and batteries. You said lithium-ion is another business you're getting into. But batteries also have issues like cost. They are toxic, so disposal of batteries is not easy. So there are sort of issues. Alongside that, there is work on hydrogen power, green hydrogen.
Yes.
Fuel cell is always sort of few years away, but at some point we will get to that point.
Yeah.
So is your view that electric is sort of like a transient thing, and sort of green hydrogen and fuel cell is the real future, or how do you see this? Like,
That's a great question, Venkat. And in many ways, we as a society are having this debate today and now. There's a lot of talk about green hydrogen. There's a lot of talk about EVs and lithium energy and sodium ion-based cells and beyond, fuel cells, etc. In many other parts of the world, this debate has already been settled. Right? Now, my own view is hydrogen is a great technology, green or otherwise. Green obviously is important so that you don't pollute more. But hydrogen is a great technology as a static energy technology, because you can generate if you step back and look at it in a big picture way, you use electricity to generate hydrogen from water through electrolysis. Then if you have to use it for static purposes, you can use it in industrial purposes, etc., where you produce. So you can produce hydrogen where you need it, so you don't need to ship around large volumes of energy. But if you have to use it for transportation needs, right, so you will produce hydrogen using electricity. Then you will compress it and store it, and then you will store it in tankers and ship it to the fuel stations, where hydrogen fuel stations, either through pipelines or through tankers. And then you will pump it into a car, where you will again store it in compressed form, and then you will have a hydrogen fuel cell in the car, which will convert it into electricity again. So you've gone through all this effort to take electricity, to give electricity into the car. And all these processes, the inefficiencies or the conversion efficiencies of all these add up into a not very efficient way of transportation energy. The easiest way to transport electricity for mobile users is actually the grid. The grid is a laid out network which has 90+% efficiency, even in India. So my very strong view is that EVs are the future for transportation energy, or lithium ion, and even beyond lithium technologies are the future for transportation. But for static energy requirements, industrial requirements, as a feedstock into other industrial processes, green hydrogen is a great technology. Now, when you focus on battery cells, right? Now, battery cells, like you mentioned correctly, Venkat, they have their own cost curves, and they have their own technology evolution. Lithium ion as a technology was commercialized. It was invented many decades ago, but it was commercialized by Sony in the Walkman, which we all have heard of. Right now, that was about 30 years ago, and today now the lithium ion technology is fairly mature. It has matured over the last decade or two, and all of the consumer electronics we use today is because it's possible because of the maturing of the lithium ion technology. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been carrying around mobile phones or any of these laptops around. Now, lithium ion is mature. The cost curve has really come down. There, sometimes people feel that the lithium is scarce in the earth. That's not true. Lithium has just not been explored enough, because till EVs happened, you didn't have, even with all the consumer electronics put together, you didn't have enough requirement for lithium. But as EVs have increased, more and more lithium is being mined, and so the cost curve is coming down. It's not like we're dealing with rare metals here. And then there are a lot of technologies beyond lithium also, or beyond the current way lithium is being used. Like sodium ion is an emerging technology. Solid state cells is an emerging technology, both in sodium and in lithium, which further improve energy density and improve the safety aspects of cells. And then I'll particularly touch on two things you mentioned around the potential risks of disposal of these batteries, and the environmental risks, because that's also a conception we all carry, and also the safety aspects of cells. On safety, there's enough data to prove that lithium cells are much safer in a vehicle than gasoline engines, because gasoline engine, actually technically there's combustion happening there, right? It's a yeah. Whereas in a battery cell vehicle, there is no combustion. It's just chemical reaction which creates the energy. So there is high safety. There is still more work to be done in safety as we move towards solid state cells, which is not far off. We've created our own prototype of solid state cells in our lab here in Bangalore. So when that happens, the flammable element in a cell is the electrolyte. Once electrolyte goes away, you improve safety by a significant order of magnitude. The second part was around the environmental friendliness of either producing these or disposing these. Now, the production, there's a lot of innovation happening even in the production part of cells, right from mining the lithium to processing it in a cleaner way, using clean energy. You can call it green lithium. If green hydrogen has become a nice PR word. You can call it, I think somebody needs to make green lithium, because the only difference is it's the electricity source. Yeah. So the production, and there's a lot of innovation in using less harmful chemicals during production. For example, the one chemical used in production of lithium-ion cells is NMP, which is a carcinogenic chemical. We are setting up a process. Our gigafactory is coming up this year, where we will not use NMP. We are absolutely at the cutting edge on that topic. Then when you come to disposal of lithium-ion cells, now recycling of the good part is you can actually recycle and recover more than 90% of the useful metals in this, be it lithium or nickel or manganese or cobalt, or these are the 4 or 5 key metals or minerals required, and you can recover more than 90% of these in recycling processes. So the both from production as well as recycling, the footprint is actually reducing.
Okay, yeah, I think wonderful. Yeah, good.
So just to, on that same thought, so the two-wheeler story for India context that you mentioned, I perfectly get it, why it is so important to develop this. But the lithium ion, as you mentioned, it's a very mature technology. So what prompted you to develop your own lithium ion cells in India versus just sourcing them from elsewhere?
Manisha, I wouldn't say it's a mature technology at all. Actually, it was commercialized first in about 30 years ago. But the real innovations in it, the real advancements started happening towards the early to mid part of the last decade, right? When really the real volume demand with EV started ramping up. For consumer electronics, there was not much innovation in lithium ion, right? So today we are at a place where there is, the key vectors of innovation is still, let's say, energy density or volume density, which means you need to pack more kilowatt hour into the same kg or the same liter. Today, we are state of the art is, let's say, 260, 270 watt hour per kg. Now that needs to go to 500 watt hour per kg over this decade, and there's a lot of innovations required to do that. If you want to reduce the cost, you need to take out cobalt from the NMC nickel manganese cobalt equation. Now, about a decade ago, the industry was using NMC 111, one ratio each. Today, the state of the art is NMC 811. So there's only one part of cobalt for 8 parts of nickel, because cobalt has a very risky supply chain in Congo and a high cost as a result. Now, the future is people are going to not use cobalt at all. So there's a lot of these innovations possible to reduce cost, to improve energy density, and to improve performance. So improving fast charging times, for example. It all depends on the cell technology. And as new technologies are being researched and improved, a lot more advancements are being made on fast charging. So the reason we set up and I'll tell you the reason, but I'll just describe what we've set up. We've set up India's largest and one of Asia's largest research facilities for new energy technologies. Lithium is core, but we're also working beyond lithium. And we have now about 300 to 400 people working there. More than 100 of them are PhDs from across the world. We have a small center of our battery innovation center in Japan now, where we have people from Japan working there because there's domain expertise there. We have a small center in the Bay Area. So we have a very large global expertise in this, the best in India by far. And we are looking to manufacture our own cells and not just manufacture, build our own technology. And the reason we decided to do it ourselves versus just buy off the market or engage with somebody is because our belief is there's about a decade or two worth of innovation that will go into this, right? To, like I said, even lithium and then beyond lithium, solid state, etc. And many of the advances that we need to do as a mobility company depend on the energy technology. For example, if passenger drones have to ever be a reality, the drone part of that is solved. You can just have a big blade or multiple big blades. We all fly drones all the time. So there's no challenge in solving the drone part. Challenge is in having high energy dense cells so that you can run a profitable business on it.
So actually, it's great that you brought up drones because I was going to ask you about, do you have any plans in the future of building drone
We should take some
delivery
audience
networks?
questions.
Yeah, no, we are definitely very keen in drones. The real problem to be solved, or the holy grail of drones, is passenger drones, right? Building toy drones, photography drones, etc., are all they are fully commoditized technologies. But and to build a passenger drone, the real technology to be solved is actually the energy system. So we are very keenly working on increasing energy density of our cells so that and one day we can build passenger drones, which will be very relevant for India.
I think, yeah, so we have just a few more minutes. So let's take a couple of audience questions. Yeah, a few minutes, right? Okay, so we can take a few audience questions. So if you have a question, please raise your hand. And maybe someone can bring this microphone. Yeah, and then yeah, you can show the question. So I think
Hi, Bhavish. Uh, I hope you still remember me. Anyway, so IIT Bombay, way back, Professor Desai.
Uh-huh. Yes, I remember you, sir. How are you?
Fine. No, my question was, in fact, I was discussing with Monisha earlier on what nowadays people talk about micro mobility. Is Ola at all kind of looking at that domain? Do you think that domain has some potential, or is something which should, what kind of technologies would work in that domain?
So, sir, the word micromobility has been coined by the American ecosystem. So, with that definition, actually, our scooters are also micromobility. But when I look at micromobility, I see a slightly different nuance than how the West, how the American ecosystem sees it. Micromobility basically means all formats of mobility which will be uh, which will be relevant to, let's say, taking. So in India, for example, we have 1.4 billion people, and only 30 million or 40 million own a car, and only 200 million own a scooter or a bike. So there's a billion people without mobility, and the answer cannot be over cramped public transport. So the answer will have to be electric cycles, lower speed scooters and bikes, maybe other form factors which don't even exist today, given electrification really allows you to miniaturize the vehicle. Because, if you think of a small electric cycle, you would never think of a gasoline cycle because you can't fit a engine there, but you can fit a motor there, and you can fit a few lithium-ion cells and power it. So we are definitely we are a, in many ways we are a micro mobility company, given that our scooter is a vehicle for the masses, and increasingly so you will see us build many more products focused on bringing mobility for a billion people, personal mobility also.
Bhavish, I just want to quickly interject on one point you said. You said there'll never be a cycle with a gasoline engine. I think before you were born, I think in the early 80s, there was a product called GoPed. I think it was called GoPed. I used to see ads for those. It was a little motor you like gasoline engine, like a cycle, and it would become a powered vehicle. It was called GoPed, I think.
Thankfully, I was born after that, Venkat.
Hello.
I think someone you know.
Hey, hey, Bhavish, how are you doing?
Is it Ram? I don't see you, but I recognize your
Yeah.
voice. Good to see you, man.
Long time. Yeah, it's one thing, right? Maybe the story of how Ola was born, these kind of things are not that well known. People think, it was just Uber copied for India rather than, co-invented at the same time. I think people think, a lot of Indian companies are just copies of US.
Yeah.
And a lot of the ideas are maybe co-invented in some ways, maybe, and also it's not smooth sailing, right? There is a lot of pivoting you had to do. So yeah, we should get that story out more, I think, and maybe briefly you can tell the audience a little bit.
Thank you, Ram. And I must say to the audience that Ram was a kind angel investor in Ola. He was kind enough to invest in a small 24-year-old young boy who didn't know what business was. But to your point, Ram, many people believe that Ola is the Uber of India or Ola Electric is the Tesla of India. Frankly, that's a very simplistic view of the world. You can say Tesla is the form of General Motors. That's not how businesses evolve, and frankly, that's not how we evolve. My own approach has always been to build from a first principles point of view and leverage the key technology themes of that time or that era, right? So 10, 12 years ago, when I started Ola and built the ride-sharing business, we wanted to really, there was this whole wave of growing internet penetration, growing mobile penetration, etc. happening. And I started off in 2010 when even Uber was largely unknown. I think they were also only in one city. But being in the Bay Area got them a much bigger awareness in terms of global awareness. But we started off very much in parallel, and the reason we survived and the reason we thrived and became the market leader and today significant market leader is because we were always true to our roots. We were always true to the Indian requirement of mobility, and hence we always innovated much faster. We started off with a much more relevant Indian product with a website to make bookings instead of an app, because at that point mobiles were not deep. And then when mobiles started getting traction, we built an app, and I remember building an app, and for the first few days nobody downloaded the app. This was in 2012 when building an app was unheard of. And then from there, we innovated. We launched different products like auto rickshaws, bike taxis. Went into the absolute nooks and corners of India, which an American company would think of as not relevant or not a large market. And the same is true for the EV revolution that we are seeing. The Indian story will be very different, and not just the Indian story, but like I mentioned in the beginning, innovation is now in parallel in the world. We don't need to look up to any other geography for inspiration. We can find inspiration in ourselves, in our consumers, and in our citizens. And this is the time where we should really, I really strongly believe that India will lead the paradigms of the future. We have the large domestic market, we have capital, we have smart, very hardworking entrepreneurs, we have a great talent ecosystem in India, we have a great and growing research ecosystem in India. And one of my personal endeavors actually is to really, given my background as both an entrepreneur and a researcher, I'm actually unique in that sense that I'm not just a technologist, but also a researcher. So I have very deep appreciation for the process of research. So one of my personal goals over the next couple of years is to really bring much more deep technologies into the business domain by close partnership. So, for example, today Ola is we have hundreds of PhDs working in Ola across our technology verticals, and we're not just a software company anymore. We have, this year we will file almost 500 patents, and I recently learned that all of Indian industry files only 20,000 patents, all of Indian industry. So that number needs to go to hundreds of thousands, right? And our ambition is we want to contribute 5% of that when it gets to 100,000. So we are doing a lot more work in the technology domain.
Hi,
Yeah, go ahead.
hi, Bhavish. This is Jogesh from IIC Bangalore. Until last year, I was a part of IIT Bombay, and so
Okay.
right now, Ola is doing great and adding on wheels in two-wheeler to four-wheeler. So, is there any future plan from Ola that you can go to space and all space settles as also India also? Yeah, no space.
Yeah.
And also,
Jogesh, I am an entrepreneur. So an entrepreneur is always full of dreams, and you don't hear no for an answer. So, so, but the exciting thing is space technologies are also opening up, and there's so much innovation possible. And uh, in some ways, again, SpaceX kind of companies have shown a lot of inspiration and excitement, but what we need to do as India and for our consumers and our use cases could be very different. We haven't explored it yet, but we are definitely at some point going to be very keen explorers into that domain too. And space is not just about space. Space is also about potentially moving stuff faster from one corner of the globe to the other.
So Bhavish, I think very appropriately for this conference, there is contention in the channel, lots of questions, and so we need a MAC protocol. So let's see. So we'll do this one, two, and three.
Okay.
Okay. Then I think we close, right?
Hi. I have a very quick question about what is your thoughts about battery swapping that has been a lot of discussion about?
That's a great question. See, battery swapping has been part of our discussion in the broader community of automotive media, etc. Because it feels very exciting because you feel charging takes time, and battery swapping you can easily drive up, especially if it's a scooter, you can drive up, pull out a battery of that weighs 10 kilos and replace it with another one. But the technology is moving very fast. So fast charging is increasingly becoming more and more real. Charging a whole battery pack in 20 minutes is increasingly becoming very real. Swapping technologies add a lot of cost in the network. You need to support 30-40% extra batteries in the swapping station across the whole network of the swapping stations, so that whenever a customer drives up to it, you can take it out and plug it in. So there might be some. I mean, my own belief is there are some use cases where swapping will make sense, especially for, let's say, commercial two-wheelers. But for almost a vast majority of other use cases, swapping won't make sense.
Fair enough. Thanks. So Ola is not going to battery swapping. Just a question.
Well, I didn't say that.
Thank you, Bhavish. My name is Rajesh Sundaresan. I'm from the Indian Institute of Science. It's a very inspiring story. So we are going to invite you over to IISc sometime and maybe inspire some of our students also to take up entrepreneurship. I have a question. Largely we spoke about technology, and you also mentioned that Ola is a software technology company, and your first product, of course, the rideshare one, involved a large-scale software system. But you also had to deal quite a bit with people, consumers, behavioral aspects. So
Yeah.
can you tell something about the kind of challenges you faced and what kind of maybe training our students might need to be able to We build better socio-technical.
That's a very interesting question. I've never been asked that question, but you are very right. In the end, while technology is core to value creation, but business is about people, and all formats of people and all formats of stakeholders, be it your consumers, most importantly, employees, in many ways even more important, investors, media, well-wishers, etc. Business is about people. And I believe if you build your business models with a strong focus on doing the right thing for society in the long term, you will be successful. Right? You will have a lot of challenges in any business. Like we've had a lot of learnings, challenges in dealing with all sorts of people, including consumers. Consumers, the Indian consumer, it's so true that it's a cliche. Sometimes cliches end up being very true. It's so true. It's a cliche that Indian consumers are the most demanding, and that's very true. The Indian consumer is the most aware. He or she has most access to information, unlike other large economies in the world where the information channels are all open in India. We consume the same content that the person living in Silicon Valley and earning 10x of us consumes. So our aspirations are built with that. But the Indian market and the reality of of doing business in India is very different. Cost structures are different. Supply chains are more constrained. Uh, delivering delivering value in every corner of the country is hard because India is such a large country and not large in geographical terms alone. So, that's been a huge learning for me personally. And the way you learn is that you have to really put the customer at the center of your journey as an entrepreneur, and the customer in a individual sense, and also the customer in or society in a broader sense. Right? And if you're building your business model and your technology or your business broadly in the right way with the right value system, you will not fall far too much. You will have sometimes consumers will not like your product. Sometimes regulators also will say, "Oh, but what you're doing is new. We don't understand it." That happened to me both in ride sharing as well as electric. But as long as you're doing the right thing for society, things will work around, and you will also learn how to sell your story better. I've learned how to sell my story better, better as I've gotten more mature.
Shubhali Chatterjee, Purdue University Assistant Professor. I love seeing your energy. So, ride sharing with Ram's question a little bit. So, what are the patents in recent years, or technology or patent, whatever you want to call it, that you're really proud of and you don't think is incremental? Like another company that's just patenting every single idea that comes to your head. So, what are some of these technologies or sub technologies or patents that you feel like, oh my gosh, this is going to differentiate us from who cares about Uber, who cares about Tesla? This is our technology.
Yeah, no, great question. See, and your question was focused on ride sharing. So I'll answer ride sharing technology first, and then if you want, I can also go into electric vehicles and beyond. See, ride sharing, the past of ride sharing was, I would call that ride sharing version one or phase one. That was basically just connecting drivers with demand, right? And that's what has happened world over, and that has happened, stabilized well. It has had its own set of evolution in terms of gig worker rights or in terms of the technology of location technologies, etc. But that's just phase one. When I look into the future, right, ride sharing as a percentage of all mobility in India, I'll give an India example, is about high single digits. That is 7 to 8%. 7 to 8% of all miles in India or kilometers in India are traveled on ride sharing. That number needs to go to 20, 25, 30%. We need to get more people access to ride sharing, which means we need to build lower cost propositions for different consumers. And lower cost does not mean bad quality, right? It means higher value. So it means how do we improve a three-wheeler experience? How do we improve a two-wheeler ride experience? How do we build a cheaper car for ride sharing? So that's one vector of the future of ride sharing. Another vector is if 20, 30% of miles or kilometers driven is going to be ride sharing, we need to make it electric. So we need to make ride sharing electric. That's another place where Ola and Ola Electric will be able to work together to create that future. A third vertical is also how do we make ride sharing safer and eventually autonomous. And autonomous should not be thought of as a Western problem. It's a technology with deep geostrategic implications, and it's a technology that we in India need to build our own autonomous stack. And when I have looked at the autonomous technology, you know, the the presumption I also had before I started studying it deeply was that, oh, autonomous can't happen in India, our roads are too chaotic. But that's a very simplistic view of the world, because if you analyze it deeper, a robotic car can actuate faster than a human any day. It can brake faster, it can steer faster, etc. So the chaotic roads don't matter to the robotic car. What matters is inferring what's happening on the road, which is a data problem. If there is X amount of data on the American road, there is 10X amount of data on the Indian road. It could be more units, more types of units, more contexts around the types of units, and the more units, it's just more stuff happening on Indian roads. So we need a different data gathering strategy and a different training strategy. With more data you need to train to build autonomous solutions, you then get into the cost of compute of training, because I can't build a supercomputer built out of NVIDIA GPUs and still build an affordable autonomous solution for India. So we need to rethink that also. But I do feel autonomous will be a core part of the future of ride-hailing, even in India. And autonomous is not a zero-sum game, or it's not a one-shot jump to there. There will be level 2, level 3, etc. So first it will become safer, and then eventually you will have areas where it will be autonomous. So to summarize, autonomous, electric, penetration, taking it deeper in terms of new form factors, cheaper form factors, but better quality form factors.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much, Bhavish. This is Varun Kumar from Carnegie Mellon. I don't know if you noticed, but we have a very packed room with lots of students standing at the very end.
Yeah.
So on behalf of them, right, what would be your advice to them for getting into entrepreneurship?
My advice wouldn't be about entrepreneurship alone. My advice would be that it's our generations, and I can also tag along in that generation, I think, hopefully for a few more years. I still feel young enough. So it's our generation's destiny to build the future of our country as we always dreamt. And we can do it using technology as our tool and using business as our tool. And I feel so lucky to be born in this era that India has really become the land of opportunity. And there is no better place than India to build the future, even with technology. And there is no better time than now. So whether you want to do it as an entrepreneur or you want to do it as a technologist in an entrepreneurial company like Ola, just follow your dreams and aim big, because you want to get old and then tell a story about how you were part of India's rise to its rightful place.
All right. Thank you so much, Bhavish. Now, I invite Professor Anurag Kumar to briefly thank you and the amazing audience here for coming. And also, I know Venkat has a few comments after that.
So, I had never seen or met or heard Bhavish Agarwal before, but I think it was a great choice for the pre-banquet fireside chat, which actually only at, I think there's a second fireside chat, right, Rajiv? There was one in 2020 and there's one because we had COVID in between. And I must say that I had learned so much about Ola today. I never even knew that Ola did all this stuff. And we were discussing networking and its future just about in the previous session. And here it is. I mean, there's so much networking in what Ola is doing: transportation networking, people networking, communication networking, battery networking. Everything is there as a part of Ola. Thank you very much, Bhavish, and congratulations to you and your team to have done so well in such a short time. I think you're giving Uber real strong competition from India, and we are very proud of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would like to thank Monisha and Venkat for so ably and entertainingly moderating the session. So, and thank you all for the large number of people who are just there before the banquet, waiting for the banquet to start. So, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Sorry, Manish.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to say, I wanted to thank you all and Venkat especially for inviting me. I was really excited about this session. I really wanted to be there in person, but for me, it's a feeling of going back to where I started off, right, and really connecting with true technology, because this is where the future is built. This is how future is built. So I really enjoyed this session, and thank you so much for having me.
I think I speak for the entire room here that this was a really enjoyable session. Thank you so much for your frank replies to all the questions that we threw at you. And it has been great to have you in person, hopefully next time.
Yeah, let me also extend my thanks. Before closing, Bhavish, just a question or a suggestion. I see that you have some couple of really sleek electric scooters outside, parked outside. We can save you the trouble of shipping it back. So, let us know. I mean, I think
We can raffle them
yeah,
off.
we can
I
raffle
would
them
love
off.
that, Venkat. Yeah.
Anyway, let's give a thank you, Bhavish.
Your moderators and moderators are.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Let's thank Bhavish
Bye-bye.
once again. Thank you so much, Bhavish. Thank you, Venkat. Thank you, Monisha. And now the moment we've all been waiting for, because it's time for the paper award ceremony.
Who does this go to?
So we are going to do the COMSNET 2023 award ceremony, and I would like to invite the TPC chairs if they are here. Yes, to come and present the awards.
For the award ceremonies, the students have worked brilliantly for the last 4 days and presented all of their work on papers, posters, demos. So may I please call TPC chairs for Best Paper Award?
So bear with us for a brief minute while we figure this out. Just go ahead and announce, and if you're okay, for the best papers. Yeah. Let me show you my best papers. Okay, we've cleared up the confusion, and now we're ready to go, finally.
Best Paper winners, can we display, please?
Yeah, so the best paper award goes to ASM Rizvi, Helena Mitkovic, John Heinemann, Robert Story from University of Southern California for the paper Defending Root DNS Servers Against DDoS Using Layered Defenses. I think the first author, Mr. Rizvi, is available online, but let's give them a hand. And can go to the next one. Oh, here he's there online. So congratulations, Rizvi. Wonderful work.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we can move on to the next award. So we also have a Best Paper Award for implementation, where the paper mainly was involved in actual hardware implementation of a system. And this goes to Diksha Rao, Ipsita Sanyal, Sachin SM, T. Venkata Prabhakar, Rakshana Gunasekharan. One of the authors is from University of Manchester and the rest are from Indian Institute of Science. For the paper title, Lessons Learned from the Implementation of the IEEE 802.15.4e TSCH Mac. Is Diksha here? I think. You can pose for a picture. So we can move to the next award. We have two runners-up awards for all-round best papers. The first runner-up is a paper by Abhishek Banerjee, Lou Chen, and Kannan Srinivasan from the Ohio State University for a paper titled Reflex Enabling Full Duplex Relay Cluster. I think Abhishek is available online.
Hello, thanks everyone.
Congratulations, Abhishek. Next. And and the second runner-up paper goes to Justin Jose, Parvesh Sheikh, Shubham Bishen, Vinat Goyal, Vimal Bhatia for the paper titled Frequency Division Duplex-Based Cooperative VFD Outage Analysis and Relay Power Allocation. I believe Justin is here.
Thanks so much. I come from an engineering college, and that was the first time I heard about like papers and posters, and I was like, what are these even about? And we used to just, do random things, copy things from somewhere, and like, this is our paper, this is our poster. This is like the real thing that's happening here. Kudos to all the winners. I would now like to invite poster chairs for the best poster awards.
Hello everyone. Giovanni and Bhardwaj, my poster coaches, they are not available here. But many thanks to them to taking care of all the throughout the year, covering the poster and everything. The best poster award goes to enhanced user pairing and power allocation strategies for downlink NOMA systems with imperfection SIC. The authors are Shiva Moni Nebalidine, Pavan Reddy M, Avinav Kumar, and Prabhat Kumar Upadhyay. So I believe Shiva Moni is here. Yeah, so the first runner-up award goes to monitoring engagement in online classes through Wi-Fi CSI. The authors are Vijay Kumar Singh, Pragmakar, Ayush Madan Sohini, Madhav Rangaya, Sandeep Chakravarti, and Mukulika Maiti. And and the second runner-up award goes to channel modeling for diffusive molecular communication systems in the presence of multiple silent absorbing targets. The authors are Ajit Kumar and Akash Yadav and Sudhir Kumar.
Thank you. May I invite the demo chairs for best demos and exhibits?
Good evening, everyone. I am Alok, along with other demo co-chairs, Kaustav and Nagjung. Thank you, Kaustav and Nagjung, for all your support. We have a couple of awards in the demo track, and the best paper award in the demo category goes to paper title Noise Recycling Using Grant for Improving the Decoding Performance. And the authors are Aslan Riaz, Amit, Furkan, Muriel Medad, Ravia, Kenar Duffy. I believe Arslan must be in, have joined virtually. Congratulations, Arslan. You can turn on your camera.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. We have another award that goes for best demos and exhibits runner-up for the demo title, Demo of Hybrid Li-Fi Network for an Indoor Environment. And authors are Saswati Pratima, Anand Srivastav, Vivek A. Vora, M. Hari, and Hari Krishna. I believe all authors are here. Thank you.
Thank you. May I invite Mrs. Ritu Gandhi, wife of late Himanshu Gandhi, for presenting the best graduate forum presentations?
So the best graduate forum presentation winner is CPRA, Cooperative Packet Routing Algorithm, goes to Aniket Modi from IIT Delhi.
I'm going to briefly request Mrs. Ritu Gandhi to
There's
stay.
a runner-up award. And the runner-up award goes to the paper title Fixed Budget Beam Identification in Millimeter Wave Systems via Unimodal Bandits by Devamita Ghosh and Manjesh K. Hanawal.
Okay, I'm going to now, now I get it right. I'm going to briefly request Mrs. Ritu Gandhi to please stay here while I invite Professor Anurag Kumar to come by and give a memento and a plaque in recognition of Himanshu's immense contributions to the COMSNETS organization.
So the association is presenting this plaque to Mrs. Gandhi. I'd like to read the plaque out. COMSNETS Association proudly recognizes the outstanding services of Himanshu Gandhi, PhD student at IIT Delhi, with an exemplary knowledge, confidence, determination, hard work, selfless service, and who made tireless contributions to the COMSNETS community.
May I invite TPC Chair Vinay Ribeiro to say a few words for Himanshu?
Himanshu Gandhi was my PhD student at IIT Delhi. He was working on the topic of botnet detection for IoT networks using machine learning. And he was in his final year of PhD when he unfortunately suffered a brain hemorrhage last September, from which he didn't recover. He had a deep understanding of his research topic and had published a number of papers at AIML Systems as well as COMSNETS. He was a very hardworking student and had great determination. He was very active in the COMSNETS community. I think many of us knew him very well. In fact, he was a social media chair for COMSNETS this year and an active volunteer for earlier editions of the conference. The last professional activity he did was actually to attend a COMSNETS organization meeting last September, in which he gave very helpful suggestions for publicizing the conference. Himanshu was a wonderful person, and as all of us knew him can attest. He was the life of the classroom, asking many questions and sitting in the front row. He was always concerned about people and lent a helping hand beyond the call of duty. He was scrupulously honest and made it a point to give credit where it was due. And I think on behalf of all of us, I can say that we will sorely miss him at the COMSNETS this year. We are very glad that Mrs. Ritu could come and give out the award. Thank you very much.
May I now invite the General Chairs for the Outstanding Services Award?
Okay. Okay. Okay, sounds good. Yeah. Let's go ahead. Okay, we're going to give away the awards for the workshops. So we'll start with the Net Health workshop. The best paper award for the Net Health workshop goes to Umehirani Hani Jawad, Vaishnavi Rangaraj, Arpita Kumar, Rakshit Shetty, Swarna Kiria, Abhishek Mahesh Apaji, Madhumita Rawat, Pooja Kadambi, Pavan Kaushik, and Vishwa Singh from BMS, Turtle, various universities. And congratulations. The paper is titled Microvibration-Based Health Monitoring Effect of External Factors on Ballistocardiogram Signals. Okay. Okay. Yes, and go. Continue. Congratulate them. Okay. Next. The best paper award, and feel free, please come here and get a round of +2. The best paper award for cybersecurity and privacy workshop goes to Kaliappa Ravindran, Michael Iani, and Arun Adityanathan for the paper titled Moving Target Defense-Based Security Mechanisms, a System Management Perspective. Congratulations to the authors. All right. The best paper award for connected and vehicles and autonomous driving goes to Forum Shah, Dhaval Patel, Kashish Shah, Mehul Raval, Mukesh Zaveri, and Shabir Merchant for the paper titled Novel Crash Prevention Framework for CV2X Using Deep Learning. Congratulations. The best, is there one more? I think we already did this. That's it? All right, awesome. Can I also invite the other my general co-chairs, because we are all... Oh, they're here. Come on, come here. So, all right. Okay, we have a bunch of awards to give out, and these are Outstanding Service Awards. These are surprise awards, so the recipients don't know about them. So I hope they're in the room somewhere. So they are, of course, for our committee members. We are so thankful for all of them. So can I please, there's just no particular order. The order of the plaques is just in front of me. Can I please first invite our finance and registration chair, Mrs. Chandrika Sridhar. So she's always out there at the registration desk. I don't know if she's wonderful. And we have a plaque for you, so do you want to do the honors? Just take a picture together. We thank her very much for the wonderful efforts, not just for this COMSNETS, but over the several years. Next is the chair who gets the most emails, right? And that person should know who that is. Who's our web chair, Pragma Kar. Please come here on stage. I don't know where. She was here somewhere, I'm sure. Maybe she's updating the website to add this information. One more work. So after this, please add your name to the Outstanding Service Award recipients. So we thank her a lot for the immense amount of pain that we have given her over the past several months. Over the year.
And finally, we have the final service award. Oh, there are more?
Yes.
Oh, there are a lot more. Okay, sorry about that. There are a lot more because many people have worked very hard to get this conference together. The next one is Raj Sharma. He's the COMSNETS Local Arrangements IT and Virtual Platform Chair, but I think he's online. He's online?
Yes.
So how does the local arrangement chair not be here in person?
Only an assistant.
Okay.
Okay.
So we virtually give him the award. We also want to thank Kaustubh Dongde, who is the Demos and Exhibits co-chair. He's not here, but we thank him for his immense service.
The next one, we'd like to give the award to Alok Ranjan, again a Demos and Exhibits co-chair. This year we've had an absolutely blockbuster year for the number of demos we've had. I hope you've had a chance to see them too. So here it is.
Okay, I can. Do you want to do the next one? Okay, I can do the next one. So this person was, I think, has been involved in COMSNETS over the year. I remember him as starting as the web chair, and I think he would have a similar trajectory to Rahul, who actually showed his COMSNETS chart, right? And this is Rohit Verma, who was our poster co-chair. So thank you so much for your efforts at this COMSNETS and again over the years.
hide those. Go ahead. Finish yours. Okay. All right. Next, I would like to acknowledge Bharadwaj, who's also a poster co-chair, Bharadwaj Sachidanand, who's also worked tirelessly for posters. I don't believe he's here, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so we acknowledge him. Thank you so much.
Next, we have the workshop co-chairs, Sadiraj Amuru. Excellent workshops. Is he not here? And Dhairyata Jaisinghani. Neither of them are here? Okay, but for those who didn't attend the workshops this time were really good.
So the next is Saurav Bansal as the IT and Virtual Platform Co-Chair. And the next one is to Manav Bansal, again the IT and Virtual Platform Co-Chair. So just briefly on Saurav and Manav though, they're both, I believe, undergraduate students, and they're the ones that I have troubled the most in the past couple of days, and I will continue to trouble them for a couple of more. So thank you so much for just being here all the time from early in the morning till late in the night. So thank you. So we over to our MC again.
Since all of you know, we completed 15 years this year. So I would like to invite Rajiv and all the steering committee member and the members of the original COMSNET founding committee.
Thank you, Kritika. Thank you so much. And again, congratulations to all the award winners. May I request the steering committee to please come on the stage. Professor Uday Desai, Dr. Giridhar Mandyam, Professor GV is, of course, in Finland right now, Dr. GV. Later on, yeah. So, Professor Ranjan Malik, IIT Delhi.
Giving award to ourselves.
No, we're not. We are not. So this is the last event before the banquet, cocktails and dinner. So we won't keep you between your dinner.
Champagne bottle, but unfortunately,
So just keep it away. Yeah. So as is the tradition of COMSNETS, at the banquet, we have to start planning for the next year, next event, which is 1 year away. But I think this conference is extremely proactive in whatever it does, thanks to the stellar committee and outstanding volunteers. It's a great. First of all, let me request Professor Uday Desai and of course Giri to sincerely thank our current general chairs and TPC chairs. They were really, I think, outstanding in every sense, in every dimension, right from day one. We were so fortunate to have general chairs and TPC co-chairs. Professor Desai, any
first of all, I'm really thankful to all the general chairs, co-chairs. I think the whole organizing committee. I think steering committee is there, but we occupy a position, but all the hard work is done by them, and we stand here in reflected glory. Okay, so I think whatever they have done, or whatever their audience you see here, the achievements of the 15th COMSNET is all because of them. So on my behalf and behalf of everybody, just let's give them a very big hand of applause. Thank you so very much, and I hope you'll continue to be associated with COMSNET and give us your guidance and help and support as we go along and try to improve COMSNET. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Desai. May I request the current general chairs to please come on the stage? Professor Swaran Kumar from Carnegie Mellon, Professor Manisha Ghosh, University of Notre Dame, Professor Nilesh Mehta, Indian Institute of Science at Bangalore,
It is a great pleasure to announce the general chairs for COMSNETS 2024. I think the conference is truly quite proactive. We are indeed delighted to share with you that we are very fortunate to have, and we had to ensure the qualities as high as the current, of people of global stature. Delighted to share with you that Professor Rajesh Sundaresan, who's the digital chairman, ISC Bangalore, in spite of his extremely busy schedule, kindly agreed to serve as the general chair of COMSNETS 2024. May I request Rajesh to please come on the stage. It's a great pleasure to also announce the general co-chair. So we have, as you know, the tradition of COMSNETS is we have 3 general co-chairs and 3 TPC co-chairs. We are delighted to share with you that Professor Saurabh Bagchi, who was a keynote speaker this morning and who knows the conference since many years now, is the general co-chair of COMSNETS 2024. Requesting Saurabh to please come on the stage. And as a tradition of COMSNETS has it, every chair position, every position has at least one eminent woman from across the globe. We're delighted to share with you Professor Catherine Rosenberg from the University of Waterloo has kindly agreed to serve as the general co-chair of COMSNETS 2024. She was unable to make it today because she has an appointment, but she is going to be there physically in COMSNETS 2024, and in fact, the whole of January next year. So welcome to the general co-chairs 2024, requesting the current chairs to please hand over the trophy to the new chairs. Thank you. Please stay back on the stage. Now the time has come for the technical program committee, and that also, as you know, is a backbone of the entire. The technical program is a backbone of the conference. This year, we were so pleased to have a technical program committee chairs. Professor Vinay Robairo, may I request Professor Vinay Robairo to come on the stage? Professor Dr. Veena Mehndiratta and Marina Thotham to please come on the stage. The TPD chairs of 23. As again, going by the traditions of COMSNETS, we have one very eminent woman who's very kindly agreed to serve as the TPC co-chair for COMSNETS 2024. We're delighted to share with you Professor Maithili Buttukuru from IIT Bombay has agreed to serve as the next TPC co-chair of COMSNETS. The chairs are a mix of industry and academia from across the globe with eminent women. So it's a very interesting, that's a tradition of COMSNETS. Very pleased to share with you that that we have a very eminent colleague from industry who's agreed again to serve as a TPC co-chair. May I request Dr. Sachin Lodha, who's the chief scientist, TCS Research and Innovation, and one of the currently in the organizing committee, who's agreed to serve as a TPC co-chair of COMSNETS 2024. Thanks, Sachin. Go ahead, third.
I am Giri Mandiam, steering committee co-chair. And then our third TPC co-chair is Professor Dinesh Rajan from Southern Methodist University. He was here earlier today to present an invited paper, but he unfortunately had business that took him away tonight. But we're very pleased that to have such an illustrious slate of general chairs and TPC chairs. And I'm sure COMSNETS 2024 is in good hands. So thank you very much.
Can we have the trophy, please? Yeah. We request the current TPC chairs to please hand over the trophy to the next TPC chair. Photograph. Can you please come on the center of the stage?
Thank you very much. This is the closes the award ceremony. This is the closure of the award ceremony. All are invited for now. Finally, we all are invited for cocktails and dinner. It's at the pool side, so please go to the pool side. You have a great evening today with the live band by Mr. Mari and his entourage. And right. Before we go, can I request all the organizing committee members, just 1 more minute, all the organizing committee members and volunteers to please come on the stage for a group photograph. But others could please proceed to the pool side. Thank you very much. OC members, keynote speakers, volunteers, please come on the stage.